Welcome back to episode 31 of ECW CyberSlam, and we begin with the usual recap package from last week's show. Rhino's involvement in the main event cost Rob Van Dam and Sabu against the Havana Pitbulls. After the match, CM Punk got into it with Rhino, the two brawling as the show went off the air. The commentators then introduced the show, putting over that brawl continued after the show finished, and confirmed that Rhino was not in the building tonight. CM Punk then came down to the ring, cutting a promo on the current situation with Rhino and, more importantly, the ECW Television Championship. Punk says that he's more than happy to fight Rhino wherever and whenever it may be, but he doesn't want to put his title reign on hold while Rhino works out his issues with Paul Heyman and the rest of ECW. That's why he is issuing an open challenge for next week to any wrestler in the world. He says that Masato Tanaka was a great challenge, but it left him wanting more. He wants to be known as the champion who can have the best matches night in, night out, and that'll continue next week. So it's a good promo to open up the show, and we go into the opening match of the night, Balls Mahoney versus Paul Burchill. Balls Mahoney does get some offense in the match, but throughout it is a decisive victory for Paul Burchill. He picks up the win in 9 minutes and 24. A 53 is a good solid rating for him. A 32 for Balls Mahoney. It's obvious who we're pushing out of the two, and Paul Burchill gets the win. After the match, despite his valiant effort, Balls Mahoney has to be helped to the back, having been taken down by Paul Burchill. Steve Corino cuts a promo when joining him in the ring, putting over the group's dominance. He says that Terry Funk crossed them, and everybody knows how that ended. The Sandman crossed them too, and it went the same. Balls Mahoney is the latest to learn that lesson, but Corino is sure that he will not be the last. We then get an in-depth video package looking at the long-term rivalry between Raven and Tommy Dreamer. Footage from their original run in ECW is shown, detailing the entirety of the Raven Dreamer story. More recent footage plays at the end of the package, which ends by promoting the World Tag Team Championship match at November to Remember 2006, as the Havana Pitbulls defend against the unlikely team of Tommy Dreamer and Raven. The second match is a poor match, Johnny Kashmere defeating Tony Mamaluke in 7 minutes 5 seconds. It's a 39 D-, both of them getting 38, and they didn't click, which made for a disappointing match really. We are looking to push Johnny Kashmere as a single since Trent Acid is in rehab for I think the next 3 months. Tony Mamaluke hasn't really had any storyline, he's just been a jobber so far, but we will change that with the next segment. After the match, with Tony Mamaluke's bad run continuing, Little Guido enters the ring seemingly at the end of his tether. He too has had a bad run, but he is not happy with Mamaluke and the nature of his defeat and berates him in the ring. When Tony tries to explain himself, Guido just storms off. So that's the beginning of some dissension within the F.B.I. I've not booked him very well so far, especially when Little Guido is a really good worker and gets very good ratings for us. So going forward, we are looking to build some sort of storyline with them. In the back, CM Punk is approached by Paul Heyman, who talks to him about the open challenge he issued earlier in the night. Paul doesn't usually appreciate wrestlers going out and making their own matches, but after Punk made that challenge, his phone went crazy. Heyman chose one of those names who responded to the challenge and promises a great opponent for CM Punk next week. Punk wants to know who he'll be facing, but Heyman says that he'll find out when everybody else does. Both of them improvising well, a very good segment, and that will help us in the final rating. Before we go into the main event, Ricky Reyes and Rocky Romero are interviewed about their match with Raven and Dreamer at November to Remember. It's not a very good promo, but having beaten Rob Van Dam and Sabu last week, they are very confident and cocky in their demeanour. Rocky says that they proved that they can beat two washed-up originals last week, and at November to Remember, it's not going to be any different. The Havana Pitbulls will walk into the pay-per-view as champions and leave the very same way. So it's really not good for the storyline. Just needed them on screen to continue the build, but yeah, definitely not a good promo there. That main event is okay. A 28 from Sonny Siaki. He is absolutely terrible. He's got a bit of menace, but other than that, there is very little about him, and I'm not sure how long I'll keep persisting with him because he isn't really fulfilling much of a role in the hustle currently. Rob Van Dam with his 66. I know he's better than that. That's them with great chemistry, so thank God for that because it would have been a terrible main event. Rob Van Dam defeating Sonny Siaki in 11:37 with a 5-star frog splash. During the match, Xavier tried to get involved, but Sabu came out and neutralised him. Rob Van Dam able to pick up a decisive clean win over Sonny Siaki. After the match, RVD and Sabu stood tall, having gone some way to revenge their loss from the previous week. Their night wasn't over there, however, as they were jumped from behind by Homicide and Loki, the members of the Hustle. Catching them completely off guard, the two men leave Rob Van Dam and Sabu laid out in the ring. Homicide and Loki stand tall to end the show as CyberSlam goes off the air, both men making looks towards Rob Van Dam's World Championship on the canvas before looking at each other and nodding their heads. So it's not a great show, but overall we do get a C59, so that's an improvement on what we've been getting recently. Rob Van Dam carrying Sonny Siaki to a passable match is really a big part of that, but also CM Punk's promo and his interaction with Paul Heyman. him, Heyman, Rob Van Dam really are carrying the show at the minute. We do need to get more people on that level. I hoped Rhino would do that. He's been pretty good, but he's not been at that high level just yet, and Raven has been very disappointing. But next week we've got CM Punk in action defending his ECW Television Championship, and given the person who will be answering the open challenge, I'm very confident that we're going to have an even better show next week.